A moment I would never forget in my life was the night I got shot. I took 4 bullets. I got shot in my back. One just came to my arm. One is still got 2 bullets lodged in me, and the detectives actually moved a bullet from my stomach. So I've been gutted from here to here. I looked at them guys and I said, I'm dying, man. And I was ready. I was ready. I had lived 2 separate lives for so long that at that moment I was ready to go. My name is Warren Griffin. I was born and raised in Portsmouth, Virginia. Today I reside in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and wow, what a lovely city it is. I left Portsmouth, Virginia about 25 years ago, and I've been residing in Virginia Beach ever since. My early childhood years growing up in Portsmouth was a little different, and I like to talk from a hindsight type of place, because I can tell you this, growing up back then, it was the early 70s, man, we had a good time. It was a time where, thinking about it, we had to come in when the street lights was on. But I thought about that and I was like, okay, if you look at today's time versus back then, we knew what time to be where my mother we could actually hear my mother's voice. And she would call us, I never forget, she would call us, Benet, Leroy, Warren, but we knew right then, before those street lights came on, we had to be in that vicinity where we could hear her voice. I just remember Easter and my mom dressing up in our Easter clothes on Sundays. And then Easter Monday, man, we had some of the best outfits. Because back then we had Easter Sunday and Monday. And it was a time where, the neighbor raised you. The neighbor helped raise you, right? And I just remember this lady named Miss Esther, man. She cooked the best fried eggs. I've never been able to cook a fried egg like her. Matter of fact, I never forgot her fried eggs, but that was part of our growing up in the 70s, early 80s. It was a time where, if the neighbor seen you doing something, moms believed the neighbor. When the teachers called, mom believed the teacher. So back there in the 70s, growing up in Portsmouth, Virginia, that's when the big cars was metal, the Oldsmobile, and I just remember seeing all the guys with the rims on their cars and stuff like that. And that was my role models back then, in Portsmouth. I have to give homage, man. It really gave me a sense in life of what I had to deal with moving forward. So I would say my early childhood days in Portsmouth, Virginia, I can't say that it was bad, especially in the early times, but I can say just remembering how my mother she was just so festive, she was just so lovely. She was mommy. She was mom, man. And she made sure she took care of her 3 kids. My early childhood days into adulthood, as I got older and got into my teenage years, I say about 11 years old, I started throwing newspapers. So I've been working since I was 11. We had almost the whole Portsmouth, man. I mean, hundreds of papers. And I remember mom used to pay us $100 a month. I had all downtown. I had it was a park called Swanson Homes where I took newspapers. And I just remember when I used to take the newspapers, she used to let me out. All the little girls would follow me through, the neighborhood because I was the guy with the, I don't have no hair now, but I was the guy with the pretty hair and, the fair skin and, and I just remember working, but my mom really instilled that into us early as far as working. And after I worked there, I say around 15 years old, we used to go up to this place called Belo's. And I used to take people, groceries to their cars and things like that. And I just remember right after that, they hired me at Belo's because I got into working age. So I became a stocker at Belo's and that was early in life to where, moms really instill, you guys gotta work. Not only that, she was a single mom and we really wanted our own money, you know what I mean? I tried to get my own money early, you know what I mean? I had got used to having my $100 a month. So, as I went forth in life, I just wanted more. But that was the good part. Now, the other side of growing up, there was a lot of drugs in my neighborhood. A lot of drugs, man. I just remember seeing guys, man, out, with the rims on their cars cleaned up. I mean, they had a lot of money. I seen a lot of money growing up. I just remember times where my sister boyfriend, he would put, lots of money in our hand. A lot of money. And, I was a teenager and I just wanted it and my brother wanted it, you know what I mean? And that was our environment, so living in Portsmouth was like always seen, you had people that worked, but that was mediocre to what the real money looked like out there. Because if anybody could sell a drug, they were selling drugs, And I came up in the early time where crack first hit the scene. When crack hit the scene, the neighborhood just went down.
The drug so powerful it will empty the money from your pockets, make you sell the watch off your wrist, the clothes off your back. It is smoked rather than sniffed. It produces an intense high within 5 to 10 seconds that lasts only 5 to 10 minutes and leaves the user craving for more.
And I know people can understand where I'm coming from when I say crack hit the scene. I'm one of those kids. I'm back when hip hop first started, to the hip hop, the hippie to the hippie, the hip hip. I'm one of those guys. The very first rap song came out. So I came back in those times. I seen how rap has developed over the years.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
But those are times if you have to bridge rap to the drug game, guys was singing about what they were going through, but they wasn't rapping about it. And as we go forward in life into adulthood, that's what you hear today in the rap music. Everybody fantasizing about, living in this street life. But I can tell you, living that life, it was something else. But one thing I can say about me, I've always tried to navigate my life in a way to where, I didn't get caught up too much. Even though I wanted the money, I wasn't that type that went all in to where I wanted to do a whole lot of time behind me and things of that nature. So I moved very discreetly in my life. I learned that even as a teenager growing up into adulthood, how to learn, how to move, how not to get caught. You know what I mean? But I was a product of my environment. I was a part of my environment. My mother had her demons. My brother had his demons. My sister had her demons. I grew up 975 County Street is where I grew up. And within those doors, there was a lot going on. That's not my story to tell. I can only tell mine, but I can tell you this. I've seen a lot. I learned a lot. And it actually taught me as I moved forward in life, how to become the man that I am today. I really had to learn how to be a man because, back in the days, moms had, she had occasional boyfriends, living with us, but my mom was a strong woman, you know. She always told us that, anybody that she had in the house, if they ever touch you or if they ever anything, let me know. And I believe my mom. We wasn't them kids that we didn't feel like we could go tell our mom, that we couldn't go tell our mom that somebody tried to touch us or nothing. For my sister was beautiful, and men would live in the house, and I literally heard my mom tell me that that's my daughter, and if you touch her, what she was going to do to her, and we believed her. So as I moved forward in life, her teaching me about how to make money, and learning, the drug game and bridging those two things together, I really developed into a strong man that you see today, because not only did I understand the work ethic, I got a point in my life where I actually started my own business from working, so as I grew into adulthood, you know what I mean? And when I kind of seen moments that I could capture, I did, especially opportunities. I got an opportunity to start a business. I called it Griffin Construction. I ran this business for like 5 years. But within running that business, I also had a side hustle. And my side hustle was what I learned growing up. You know what I mean? So I bridged those two gaps together. And, I had my finances was looking very, very nice, But with that, as I journeyed through life and into adulthood, I also was in and out of church. I met women, I got married real early in life, I got married when I was 20 years old. That was my first marriage. And the young lady, she was 17. But within that, I was wild, I was wild at, I was 20. So I went through things as far as that's concerned, as far as me being in a woman's life who had a daughter, the father was very active, and I think he was still in love with her. So I had to go through things in that relationship. When that relationship ended, that ended with me being in a relationship with another woman, which I was in a relationship with her for like 10 years we was together. In that relationship, it was pretty toxic, what I mean? But there was a lot of money flowing. I had a business, and we had the best of things, and I had it wasn't a time where I didn't walk around with $2,000-3,000 in my pocket. I used to bow at the bar, you know what I mean? But I was living two separate lives. I was over here with rich people, but I also was over here with people that I couldn't. How can I put it? That I kind of understood, I could relate to, you know what I mean? There was a time in my life where I had to learn how to speak, because over here I was speaking slang, and over here I was speaking proper English, and those two languages used to kind of coincide with each other. I would forget that I was over here talking to these people, and I was talking slang over this side. So I was living in these two different worlds, to where I had to literally choose a side, and that's my moment that I would never forget, of me choosing a side in my life. But what did one do? I still had the other side that I was living. So I had to make a decision, and I did. And when I made that decision, the woman that I was with at that time, she didn't want to come along. I found a job. I was making like $30,000 a year. I went from probably making $30,000 a month to making $30,000 a year. And I can tell you, I went and I asked God to give me peace in my life. Because within that, I had my doors kicked down. I remember coming up home and my doors was off the hinges. I mean, literally laid in the middle of the floor. And I just thought to myself, if I was in this house, I would be dead. I just knew I would be dead, So I had to make a choice. You see, young men, that's what we got to do as men. We got to make choices. And that's what I did. I chose to leave that world alone. I worked for one company for like 5 or 6 years. And within that company, man, I learned so much. I had so many mentors, is what I call them. They taught me how to drive equipment. They taught me how to demo. They taught me how to do demolition work and construction work and equipment operator and pigging pipelines and pressure testing pipelines. And I was being taught this thing, man, and I didn't understand because none of these men looked like me. None of them looked like me. God put these men in my life, and they were all they was white men, of all Caucasian nation, but they taught me. They wanted me to learn, and I embraced it. And as I embraced it, God took me on this journey, man. And as He took me on this journey, I found myself meeting another woman. You know what I mean? After the relationship with the woman in this world I was living with, I ended up getting married the second time. Now, when I got married the second time, I basically, was in church. She was a church-going girl, and she had me in church, and I was in church. I was just learning church, you know what I mean? It was a thing to where church was what we did every Sunday and Wednesday night, But I had a demon that I was dealing with because I never stopped drinking. And I would drink, and like I would go to work and I would drink, but I was in church, you know what I mean? And I just tried to, now here I am balancing out another demon in my life. Here I am, I'm hooping and hollering, I'm really feeling the Spirit of the Lord, but I wanted alcohol too. So it was things to where I was straddling that fence in life, you know what I mean? But within that relationship, I used to travel. And when I traveled, I used to go down to down south traveling or whatever. And, when I really got away from her is when I started frequenting the bars and stuff like that. And I would go down there because I would be down there all week. And I would go out, I would get drunk, and I found myself in a situation. A moment I would never forget in my life was the night I got shot. I took 4 bullets, I got shot in my back. One just came to my arm. One is I got 2 bullets lodged in me. And the detectives actually moved a bullet from my stomach. So I've been gutted from here to here. One night, I was at a bar, and when the bar closed, when I came outside, I seen this big commotion. So as I seen the commotion, I kind of made my way over to the commotion, and down there I had met some local guys, which I got real cool with. The local guys was real cool. Here I am again, living 2 separate lives because these guys was, they were living in that world that I was used to. And by me being down here with these guys, getting to know these guys, I kind of took it as my altercation too. And when I took it as my altercation, bullets flew. I got shot in the back like 4 times. You know what I mean? When I got shot in the back 4 times, as I grabbed my cell phone, put it up to my ear, I called 911. But I started feeling the breath leaving my body. And I was telling him I had just got shot. I know I felt the first bullet go in me. I didn't know I got shot 3 more times, but because I only felt the first one. But the next thing I know, I heard all this commotion. I heard the police coming, and I just remember the guys. The manager of the bar came out. He's like, "Just lay here. The police is coming." And I just remember that's when the paramedics and stuff arrived, and they had to helo me to the hospital. But in the helo, I looked at them guys and I said, "I'm dying, man." And I was ready. I had lived 2 separate lives for so long that at that moment I was ready to go. And I told him to tell my wife that I loved her, my wife at the time, that I loved her. And I was ready to go. And I smiled at him, you know. And the next thing I know, I woke up throwing up in the hospital. And I just remember all this stuff coming out. I threw up and I looked around and I had no idea. It was like, okay, God, can you heal? Now, my mom, you know, being a God-fearing woman at the time, she had pastors and preachers and everybody praying over my body, praying over me for 3 or 4 different states. I had all these pastors coming into my room. I had no idea who these people were. They came into my room and they talked to me, they prayed over me, and I got out the hospital. And when I got out the hospital, you know, I was in there for about 2 or 3 weeks. And I had lost all of this weight, you know, so I went back to church. And yeah, what the church did, they paraded me around in front of the church. Look what God did, you know, paraded me up and down. I had to walk up and down, and look what God did, you know, what church folk do, you know what I mean? Once that was over, I had to go back to the same place that I had just got shot. Those people didn't care. When I went back to work, they said, are you ready to go back down? And I said, I got to go back there and say, yeah, you got to finish the job. I went back down to the place that I had just got shot. They didn't care. You know, they sent me right back down there. And you know what they did after that? When they finished doing the job, they laid me off. Yeah, they laid me off. But it was a blessing. It was a blessing, because guess what? When they laid me off, I ended up getting a job based off of what my mentors had taught me for so many years. But this time, I was in straddling the fence no more. No, I was going to live a straight and narrow. Can't say I didn't stop drinking, but I lived a straight and narrow from that point on. When God put those 4 bullets in me, he was talking to me. He was speaking to me. He was like, young man, you're going to be something. You're going to be a vessel for me. And that's what I knew that I had to be for God, right? So what did he do in my life? Oh, my God, look at me now. Introduced me to Kimberly Frederick. Her name was Kimberly Frederick then, you know, and that's when I met my beautiful wife, Kimberly. She wasn't my wife at the time. When I met her, I remember asking her, you know, are you saved? And she was like, no. I said, well, I need to get you saved. You got to be saved. And she was like, you know, can you save me now? I said, yeah, I can save you now. And I remember I told her to say these words across the phone, and she said it. And I remember when I first met her, I cooked this chicken and rice. It was chicken and rice that I cooked. I told her, come down and eat. And this one I knew the comical side to her, because she came down, oh, I thought I put my foot in this chicken and rice. But she started chewing the chicken, and she was chewing, and she was chewing, and she was chewing. I was like, you don't like my cooking? She said, no, it's true. But anyway, once I ended up working at the job that I worked at now, where I work at now, God bless the job. You know what I mean? I've been able to make it to a point to where the future is looking real bright at my job. You know what I mean? The assistant manager now is an asphalt company that I work for, and I really, really enjoy my job. You know, I know some people can say, you know, they don't want to go to work tomorrow, whatever, but I cannot. I've been there 14 years now. I really can't say that I don't like going to my job, because I really do. You know, I've been able to since put the alcohol down, thanks to my beautiful wife, you know. She was really an encouraging factor in my life of where I am today. And yeah, and that's my story. I don't care what color you are. If you're a young man and you're going in a different direction, I hope you got some out of my session of the Bully Magazine documentary series. As an editor of Bully Magazine, as a co-producer of this show, you know, I love it. I love it because I know the future is bright. I can tell you that we are looking forward for people to sit in front of this camera and tell you their purpose in life. Not only their pain, but their purpose. Because in any pain that you're going through, get up and find your purpose. Don't relinquish in your pain. Don't let your pain become who you are. You know, try and every inch of your body to become a purpose. I always say that people are our purpose in life, because anything that you got in this world deteriorates. Your car deteriorates, your house deteriorates, your body deteriorates, anything man-made deteriorates. But you don't know what you know one thing that would never deteriorate: when you sow into another human being. See, when you sow into another human being, that never deteriorates, because that's something that'll stay with them for the rest of their life. So you got to always understand that when you're putting your foot forward, somebody is always looking. Somebody is always paying attention. So be that catalyst. Be that person that's going to stand tall and say, look what I did. I went through pain. I got a purpose in my life now. And our purpose is Bully Magazine. Our purpose is Joseph Michael Hoodie Collection, which you see I got on right now, the Joseph Michael Hoodie Collection. Our purpose is Support Joey's Heart. Our purpose is the Bully Magazine documentary series. See, we out here. And if you listen to my story, and if you listen to my wife's story, you will see that we've been through pain, and we have turned it into purpose.